The emergency pod's warning lights flashed red as Fenna tried to stabilize the descent. Her knuckles whitened around the manual controls, dark curls falling across her face as the craft shuddered violently. The lush green planet loomed closer through the view screen, her unintended destination after the research vessel. Botanica had suffered a catastrophic engine failure. It's not how I planned to. Collect exotic plant samples, she muttered, fighting the controls until impact. The crash sent her sprawling as safety foam enveloped her body when Fenna regained consciousness. Sunlight streamed through a fractured hull. She gathered what supplies remained, including her precious botanical scanner, and stumbled out onto vibrant purple grass. The air smelled sweet, like cinnamon and rain. According to her instruments, breathable but with high oxygen content. Beyond the clearing rose crystal-like trees that refracted sunlight into dazzling rainbows. Beautiful, she whispered, momentarily forgetting her predicament. Her communication array was damaged beyond repair, and the nearest outpost was weeks away by foot. If she even knew the direction. On her third day of carefully documented survival, Fenna spotted smoke rising above the crystalline forest. Hope and caution warred within her as she approached, botanical knife clutched tightly. What she found wasn't a settlement, but a solitary dwelling, a structure, partially built into a massive fallen crystal trunk. "Stop right there," a deep voice commanded. A tall man emerged from the shadows, crossbow aimed at her heart. His face was partially hidden by an unkempt beard, but his eyes were striking amber with flecks of gold. "Who sent you?" "Nobody sent me," Fenna replied, slowly lowering her knife. "My research vessel malfunctioned. I'm stranded." Suspicion lined his face as he studied her, weapon unwavering. "Research? Into what? Plants?" "I'm a botanist with the Galactic Scientific Alliance." She gestured to her tattered uniform with its distinctive leaf insignia. Something in his posture shifted. The crossbow lowered slightly. "A scientist. Not military? Do I look military to you?" Fenna gestured at her slight frame. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Appearances can be deceiving." Nevertheless, he lowered the weapon completely. "Name's Darian. Been here 3 years? Voluntarily?" she asked, surprise evident. His expression darkened. "That depends on your definition of voluntary." Later, seated inside his dwelling, unexpectedly sophisticated with salvage technology, Fenna sipped something resembling tea while Darian examined her pod's locator beacon. "It's dead," he concluded. "Like mine was. You crashed too?" In a manner of speaking, his cryptic response hung between them. "You can stay until morning. Then we'll discuss options." That night, as unfamiliar stars twinkled through gaps in the crystal canopy, Fenna wondered about the mysterious man who lived alone in this beautiful, dangerous world. The way his hands moved with precision, despite their roughness, the sadness that lingered behind his eyes, the careful distance he maintained. Little did she know that her arrival had already set in motion events that would change both their lives forever. As elsewhere on the planet, another beacon had activated, silently broadcasting their location to the stars. Part 2. The Forgotten. Sanctuary dawn broke with violet and crimson streaks across the horizon. Fenna woke to find Darian already preparing a meal from local fruits and something that resembled coffee. "I've been thinking," he said without preamble, "your botanical knowledge could be useful. There's a place deeper in the forest I've never been able to approach. The plants there, they react aggressively to my presence. Sentient flora." Fenna's scientific curiosity immediately piqued. "Something like that. Help me reach it, and I'll help you improve your shelter. The rainy season is coming." By midday, they were trekking through increasingly dense crystal growth. Fenna marveled at the ecosystem, plants that had evolved to incorporate crystalline structures into their cellular makeup, creating hybrid organic mineral life forms unlike anything in her extensive studies. "How did you learn to survive here?" she asked, carefully collecting specimens. Darian's expression remained neutral. "Necessity. Military training helped." "So you were military?" "Once." His tone discouraged further questions. After hours of hiking, the forest opened into a clearing where an enormous structure rose before them. Is half buried in crystal growths but unmistakably artificial. Massive stone blocks formed a temple-like edifice covered in intricate carvings. It was buried when I found it, Darian explained. Last season's storms exposed more. As they approached, vines with translucent thorns writhed defensively. Fenna removed a small device from her pack, adjusting settings until it emitted a low-frequency pulse. The plants gradually relaxed. Plant communication frequencies, she explained, noting Darian's impressed look. They're just protecting their territory. Inside the structure, light filtered through crystal insertions in the ceiling, illuminating a vast chamber. Wall carvings depicted humanoid figures interacting with the planet's unique ecosystem. This civilization understood these plants, Fenna whispered, tracing the images. They weren't colonizers. They were symbiotes. Deeper inside, they discovered a chamber containing what appeared to be a map, a crystalline projection of star systems. That's the Meridian sector, Darian said, recognition flashing across his face. In these coordinates, ... Their eyes met in shared realization. This wasn't just an abandoned temple. It was a navigational outpost. As excitement built between them, a distant rumble shook dust from the ceiling. Darian's expression hardened instantly. We need to leave now. Storm clouds gathered with unnatural speed. Lightning struck dangerously close, shattering crystal trees into deadly shards, racing back through the forest. Darian pulled Fenna beneath a rock outcropping just as torrential rain began. Pressed close in the small space, she became acutely aware of his proximity, his arm protectively around her shoulders. The storms here aren't natural, he explained, voice low and close to her ear. The planet's defense system. Against what? His eyes met hers, something unspoken passing between them. Against whoever those temple builders were running from. In that moment, as rain pounded outside and lightning illuminated his features, Fenna realized two things. This planet harbored secrets far beyond scientific curiosity. In the growing warmth she felt toward, this mysterious man might be the most dangerous discovery of all. Echoes of Truth, 3 weeks after discovering the temple. Fenna had transformed a section of Darian's dwelling into a makeshift laboratory. Crystal samples lined improvised shelves, while notebooks filled with observations cluttered every surface. The familiarity of scientific method provided comfort in this strange world. Darian entered, carrying freshly caught fish-like creatures from the nearby river. His initially guarded demeanor had softened incrementally each day. Now he occasionally smiled, a transformation that illuminated his entire face. Any breakthroughs? He asked, nodding toward her specimens. Actually, yes. Fenna held up a crystal fragment suspended in liquid. These aren't just plants incorporating minerals. I think this entire ecosystem was engineered. Engineered. By whom? The temple builders? Presumably? The crystal structures contain microscopic technology, ancient but recognizable. How Darian's expression darkened. Technology that might interest certain people. What people? The question hung heavy between them. That evening, as they ate beneath the stars, Darian finally revealed his truth. I was Commodore Darian Voss, Coalition Special Forces. My final mission was escorting a diplomat carrying evidence of corruption reaching to the highest levels of government. His voice grew distant. We were ambushed. The ship was destroyed, but I managed to reach an escape pod. I've been hiding here since, presumed dead. They tried to assassinate you? Fenna whispered. Double quotes us. The diplomat didn't survive. Pain flashed across his features. I couldn't save her. Impulsively, Fenna reached across, covering his hand with hers. You survived to expose the truth, without evidence or allies. I'm just a deserter with accusations. His fingers tentatively intertwined with hers. Until you crashed here. The unspoken implication hung between them. Her arrival could be his salvation or doom. Later that night, unable to sleep, Fenna found Darian outside, staring at the stars. Without words, she stood beside him, shoulders barely touching. When his hand found hers again, neither acknowledged it aloud, but neither pulled away. The temple map, she said quietly. It showed this planet as part of a network. What if there's a communication relay somewhere? If there is, Using it would broadcast our location. Is staying hidden forever really living? Their eyes met in the starlight, and something shifted between them. Slowly, inevitably, he leaned closer. Their first kiss was gentle, questioning, then deepened with surprising intensity. His hands cradled her face with unexpected tenderness. When they separated, breathless Darien rested his forehead against hers. "I've been alone so long," he whispered, vulnerability raw in his voice. "You're not alone anymore," Fenna replied, heart racing. The moment shattered as an alarm blared from inside the dwelling. Darien was instantly alert, pulling her toward the shelter. "Perimeter breach," he explained tersely, retrieving his crossbow and a concealed pulse rifle. "Someone's found us." As they hastily gathered supplies, Fenna confronted the question that had lingered since his revelation. "Do you trust me?" she asked directly. "Because if we're going to survive, we need absolute trust." Darien paused, studying her face in the dim light. His answer was another kiss, fierce and decisive. "It's not exactly verbal confirmation," she whispered against his lips. He smiled, a real, unguarded smile. "Yes, botanist. Against all logic and training, I trust you." Outside, as twin moons rose, distant lights appeared through the crystal forest, approaching steadily. Deliberately, inexorably, the hunter's shadow, they fled through the night. Crystal trees casting prismatic shadows across their path. Darien moved with practiced stealth, guiding Fenna through hidden ravines and shallow streams to mask their trail. The mercenaries' 3 ships had landed, according to Darien's scanner, were methodically quartering the area. "They're using heat trackers," Darien whispered as they huddled beneath a rocky overhang. "The crystals distort readings, but not indefinitely." Fenna clutched her pack containing crucial research notes and samples. "We need to reach the temple. The underground chambers would shield us. Too obvious. They'll search there first." Darien's expression was grim as he checked his rifle charge. "There's another option. The northern crystal formations emit natural radiation that blocks scanners. The ones you warned me were dangerous?" A humorless smile. "Everything has become relative." They traveled through the darkest hours, when even the crystal forest dimmed its natural luminescence. The temperature dropped sharply, their breath forming clouds in the frigid air. Fenna stumbled from exhaustion, and Darien caught her, pulling her against his chest. "Rest," he murmured, setting up a small shelter beneath towering crystal formations. "We've gained some distance." Inside the cramped space, they huddled together for warmth. The intimate proximity made conversation unavoidable. "When you said the temple coordinates were significant," Fenna began, "what did you mean?" Darien was silent so long, she thought he might not answer. "They match coordinates in the diplomatic files, a supposed myth about ancient technology capable of instantaneous communication across galaxies. Technology that would eliminate the need for traditional hyperspace routes? Routes controlled by corporations aligned with corrupt officials?" Fenna concluded. "Exactly." His fingers traced patterns on her arm. "If proven real, it would dismantle their power structure." In the darkness, Fenna turned toward him. "So finding that technology wouldn't just clear your name, it could transform interstellar politics. If we survived to tell anyone?" The gravity of their situation settled between them. Fenna reached up, tracing the outline of his face. "If these are potentially our last hours, I don't want to spend them talking politics." Their kiss was different this time. Desperate, hungry, a defiance against their uncertain future. Clothes were discarded despite the cold, hands exploring with increasing urgency. When they finally joined, it was with an intensity that felt like both beginning and culmination. Afterward, wrapped in thermal blankets in each other, Darien confessed, "I never expected to find something worth living for again." Fenna kissed his chest above his heart. "Then we have more reason than ever to survive." Dawn approached with ominous silence, no wildlife sounds, no rustling vegetation. Darien tensed, instantly alert. They're close. Outside, through gaps in the crystal lattice, distant figures moved with military precision. One pointed a scanner directly toward their hiding place. "They've found us," Darien whispered, reaching for his weapon. Fenna grabbed his arm. "Wait, I have an idea." She removed a vial from her pack extract from the defensive plants surrounding the temple. "Science over firepower. Trust me." His answer was immediate. Always. As mercenaries closed in on their position, neither knew if they would see another sunset, but in each other's eyes, they had already found something worth fighting for. Morning sunlight fractured through crystal formations as Fenna released her botanical weapon, a concentrated pheromone that triggered the defensive response of every crystal plant within a 100-meter radius. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Crystalline thorns erupted from the ground. Transparent vines whipped through air, creating an impenetrable, glittering barrier between them and their pursuers. Shouts of confusion and pain echoed as mercenaries retreated from the botanical onslaught. Darian stared at Fenna with newfound admiration. "Remind me never to anger a botanist," he murmured, taking her hand as they fled toward the radiation fields. By midday, they reached the northern formation's massive crystal spires that hummed with energy, shooting occasional arcs of blue lightning between peaks. The mercenaries wouldn't follow here. Even their protective gear couldn't withstand prolonged exposure. "We can't stay indefinitely," Fenna said, setting up monitoring equipment to track radiation levels. "But it buys us time." "Time for what?" Darian asked, exhaustion evident in his voice. Fina's eyes gleamed with determination. "To repair my pod?" The temple map showed locations of mineral deposits, including elements I need for basic repairs. Understanding dawned on his face. "You want to leave?" "You want to leave," she corrected. "Together." Okay, over the next 5 days, they worked tirelessly. While Darian created diversions to keep mercenaries searching in wrong directions, Fenna salvaged parts from both her pod and Darian's long-abandoned craft. The work was grueling, technical, and constantly interrupted by necessary hiding, but gradually, impossibly, the small vessel began to function again. On the final night before their planned escape, they stood together overlooking the crystal forest bathed in moonlight. The beauty remained breathtaking, despite everything. "I've been thinking about the diplomatic evidence you mentioned," Fenna said quietly. "My research here, what the temple reveals about this engineered ecosystem, connects directly to those coordinates. How? This entire planet is a living map. The crystal formations align perfectly with the star chart we found. What if the ancients didn't just leave a record of the technology? What if they encoded it within living matter?" Darian looked stunned. "The very evidence that could expose the conspiracy is literally growing all around us," Fenna finished. "My scientific credentials will ensure people listen." Dawn brought their moment of truth. The repaired pod could barely accommodate to people and essential supplies. As Fenna completed final preparations, Darian stood watching the horizon where mercenaries had established a distant perimeter. "Pursue us into space," he said. "Only until we reach the jump point." Fenna's confidence was contagious. This isn't just about escaping anymore. When everything was ready, they stood before the pod, suddenly hesitant. 3 weeks ago, I was a solitary researcher cataloging plant specimens," Fenna said softly. "Now I'm about to become a fugitive alongside a man I barely know, but somehow trust completely." Darian touched her face gently. "Sometimes the universe brings together exactly what's needed, exactly when it's needed." Their kiss was a promise of possibilities, of futures not yet written. As they prepared to leave the crystal world behind, both understood that what they had found together outshone even the brightest stars above. "Ready?" Darian asked as the engine hummed to life. Fenna's hand found his. "Beyond ready." The pod rose through morning mist, leaving behind crystalline forests and ancient secrets, but carrying forward evidence that would change worlds, and two hearts that had found each other across impossible distances.